Greetings and welcome to the sixth part of our Runebearer navel gazing chats. Me and Scott hanging out talking about Runebearer, and tonight we're gonna chat about magic. So welcome, Scott. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me, and welcome everybody.
Yeah. So we're gonna drink. I've poured a drink. I don't know if you have. I'm pouring a drink right now. I'm
Yeah,
pour,
all right, go ahead.
I'm pouring Trace Generaciones tequila. I'm not qualified to drink tequila. I
No,
got a C minus in my Spanish
I think you
courses.
failed right there.
I
Yeah,
did. I totally did. Um, so yeah, I appreciate this tequila. I feel this is a standard tequila. Like we had one that was super smoky, and then one that was vanilla sweet. The week before this Trey G
preach.
Trey G, that's the French,
Uh,
is very much a good, has that little bit of I call it smokiness that a tequila does, that agave flavor, right? That sort of deep smell, and it tastes pretty. I don't know, I'm gonna say pretty standard, but that makes it sound like I don't enjoy it. I do enjoy it. So
yeah, I thought it was great, but I like traditional tequila more than weird tequila. So
yeah, I love that.
yeah,
I loved all of them so far. Like
yeah,
the weird vanilla George Clooney tequila and the super smoky
yeah. I
tequila.
did not like the
liked all
sweet one.
those. I
I
liked
did
them
not
all.
like the sweet one.
I liked them all.
I'm drinking the dark pumpernickel rye.
Which is okay.
Well,
I enjoyed that. Yeah.
I like that from wherever it's from. I forget
I'm
now.
giving you the stupid whatever it is, Scott Thomas, or saying
Yeah, Thomas More.
the Thomas more the John Thomas. I'm giving you the John Thomas
The more
bourbon.
more, the more
Yeah,
more.
because I don't like it. I just don't like it.
That was
I can't
fine.
bring myself to like it.
Yeah, I'll give you the whatever I have left of the Frey Ranch. I think you
Got it.
like that more than I did.
All right.
Yeah, and I
So
don't love that either, so it works out.
so
I
now that
also
we've
have a Bell's Two Hearted beer, but
there you go.
that's side beer.
Now that we've made sure that no one's watching this video because
We did.
we
Look,
immediately
we
but
drove them all
yeah,
away.
yeah, we did. We're gonna talk about magic. Um
Good.
so I would say that combat is the beating heart and soul of Runebearer. Like, and in a more of a way than say even it is in a lot of like a D&D fifth, right? Like that we've putzed with that system and tweaked it
Sure.
and right and gotten it to a point. Um, but magic is why the game exists at all. Strangely enough,
Yes. Like
um,
it's the system that's most integral to Runebearer. I mean, it's in the name.
mm, it truly is. Now, so originally, of course, the entire Bostonia and all the ideas that sort of drove Runebearer were a hero system game. Um, but what I found was, as we were playing in that campaign, that magic never quite worked like I wanted it to. And so that's what sort of caused, I thought, well, this would be good. Let's write a game. We'll make the magic system like I want. And that everything else sort of, drove from that. Um, I don't, it's one of those systems that I like, but I feel bad about because I feel like it doesn't quite get where I needed to get. But I also know that there's a lot of uh, um, there's a lot of nods to game balance and a lot of gaming assumptions in there, um, that sort of make it difficult to. I think all Magic systems suffer from that if you're trying to make it gamey, if that makes any sense. So I think the goals. Let's start with the goals. I think the goals of the Magic system are that mages are interesting, but that for at least the vast majority of lifespan of a campaign and cases on a battlefield that warriors still rule the battlefield. Does that make sense?
Sure, but I do also feel they um, can be participatory.
Sure, I'm not saying that mages can't participate in combat. I'm just saying that if you know, get your big hork and two-handed fighter versus your rando mages, then it's very situational who wins that, right? Like, um, and I want there to be a sort of interesting balance of utility for mages. Like I want mages to typically be the utility class for the most part, and not necessarily the hardest hitters on the battlefield. Though you can be, and some of them can be, and there's a lot of danger in there. As you get higher up, you know, mages can win fights, but I said I just want it to be for X amount of time. I want fighters to still rule the battlefield to a large degree. Um, and for it to be interesting and to work its way into plots, of course, um, and to, I would say, um, have some of those old school casting dangers that we don't have as much anymore, i.e., you know, you have to protect the casters. It's dangerous to be in the front line as a caster. You know, concentration checks, that whole thing, right? So I'm rambling now, so I'll stop there. So let's talk about runes roughly, and then the mechanics, I suppose, more specifically. So first off, at least in Runebearer, in Bostonia, but Runebearer generally, everyone is, I would argue, a sorcerer in 5e terms or a warlock in 5e terms. Right? Almost every caster.
Yeah, that sort of makes sense, right?
Runic casters, I mean, you can make other casters, but runic casters in particular are not well, warlocks or sorcerers, right? They have a lesser number of spells that they can access, usually more often, and they've mostly gained their power not with studying necessarily. It's not always true, but runic magic is gained by the binding of a focus called a rune. For lack of a better term, it's a tattoo, but it's not really a tattoo, right? It could be, you know, it could be a burn, it could be a poisoning of your blood, it could be, you know, the fairies have marked you, whatever it is, right? It is some sort of binding to elemental power that you have engaged in that then gives you a piece of that power, typically at a cost of some sort.
It also tends to be unique and tied to whatever that granting authority is.
Sure. So
You
we
know, whereas
have,
like D&D wizards largely all have the same spells, or can,
yeah, sure.
and Runebearer mages absolutely do not have the same spells.
Right,
You know,
that is true. They're different runes, and everyone effectively has a spell list that is unique. Now, don't get me wrong. There might be effectively energy blast in multiple of the, you know what I mean, in them. They might be, oh, damage spell. Um, but yeah, typically the idea is that each one is, you know, sort of unique, and that and maybe you only see it once. You know, we only see a rune once in the entirety of our gaming, you know, lifetimes, weirdly enough.
yeah, hmm
um so I mean, the one that we saw in the solo campaign that I did run was the Hand of Lightning, and the
right.
Blizzard. Actually, the Blizzard was the one that we really saw. um Hand of Lightning only played a tiny role in that before she died, which I felt bad about. But I thought it was a neat ending. But anyway, um, so we have runes that are effectively the first rune of the first equation of mathematician, which is sort of studied, and the mages literally get the equations tattooed on their arm, almost like a cheat sheet for my physics class. Not saying that I ever did that, but um, but they get that tattooed, the first equation. We have the Earth's blood, which requires you to effectively, bind yourself to some uh, earthen mud pool, kind of get buried alive, like drown in there. Blizzard is an ice elemental that is trapped and wants to be freed, so he gives you some power, but he compels you to free him. I forget which, like we had a rune that was essentially at the base of in a volcano, inside like a cave in a volcano, and there was like you could activate. There was a weird ancient device, and you could activate the fountain of lava. I forget what that one was called.
Was that Firewinder? Maybe.
That's not Firewinder.
Oh, Firewinder.
But no, Firewinder is that you believe that fire is alive. Once it gets big enough, it becomes a malevolent entity, and so you start a conflagration and run into it.
Was it the Sea of Flames with
the
a
flames? Yeah,
the flames, the flames.
But this one was the law. This is a lava rune, and I think I made it specifically for John.
Sure.
And effectively, you had to consume the lava, and so the whole trick was. So the idea is that you're not getting these by studying. You're getting these by doing something like being in a Jackass skit for mages.
A little bit. Yeah. You might die.
And the idea is that the studying part is the learning about what you need to do, where it is, what you need to do, and how you might up your chances or survive it, because all of them require some kind of test typically. And now, obviously, some characters start with runes, and it's assumed that you did the test in the past, right? So that's sort of a freebie. Like you could take the lava rune and not have to put your face in the lava, kind of thing.
Well, until you have to go level it up, maybe.
That's later. We're going to tell. Yes, but that's a good point. You bring up a good point. But if you gain a rune in game, and indeed there might be tests to level the rune up, you have to do a thing. So, for instance, the Hand of Lightning requires you to essentially take a lightning rod, and there's a brand at the end of this lightning rod, and you put it to your chest and get electrocuted by theoretically a bolt of lightning. So how do you survive that? Either you have just a lot of toughness, which the Hand of Lightning encourages, or maybe you get a potion, right? Maybe you get spells cast on you to resist lightning. Although, where do you get those spells from? Stuff like that, right? That's like the scholarly part. The scholarly part is knowing how to not die, and then you go and get the rune. So that's sort of how you acquire the rune, not inquire, but acquire the rune. What's your favorite rune, by the way?
Ooh, all right.
Gotcha. I should have prepped you for that question.
No, I love the out of the blue. I'm just gonna hot minute look through the list. If
you hot minute the list,
I will. Come back to me in like a couple minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta.
Okay, so mechanically, I'll talk mechanically. While he's looking up runes and thinking about it, mechanically, a rune is effectively a skill, and they're expensive. They're 8-point skills that you buy, and we did a thing on skills. Most skills cost 3 points. Magic skills cost 8 points to buy a character creation. It's a skill you buy, and it has 2 stats. You get an 8 plus the 2 stats. Just like anything else, you get that much skill. And you are either, based on your skill level, you're either in first, second, third, or fourth circle, which is effectively levels of spells. Like in D&D 1st through 9th, we've compressed them to 1st through 4th. First level spells tend to be reasonably weak and small. Second level, you get a little bit more expansive and broad and dangerous. Third circle, I think, is when most mages start to hit that stride. They usually get some area of effect if they have fighty stuff. or some really big utility, like a fly would be typically a third circle, or a teleport. Um, or you might get your best save or suck spells on in third circle, like the fight winners, I call them. And then fourth circle is the time where I'm really worried about how bitchin' your character is, because you can get some big stuff. Those are usually the earthquakes and the cloud kills and the spells that if cast. Now those are very high, and a lot of them cost spell levels, or you might have to pay literally give up experience to cast them. But those are usually the ones that can change a game or change a campaign. Or win you a fight, that kind of thing. What do you got over there? You got an answer for me? What do you?
I mean, I like a lot of them. I think, some are just they feel well rounded. They're used, like Earthblood feels very on theme, right?
Yeah.
It's very well rounded, has a lot of general like goodness, good utility to it. I really, and I know we call it the camping mage. I
Huh.
love piercing the night though. I can't. We haven't seen that in a long time, but
No, we haven't. So
it's just because it's an interesting idea that I don't think we really did. Unfortunately, haven't really revisited in a long time, haven't gone back to, but I like the idea that it's sort of you're on a weird quest ish. Like it has almost a quest as part of the rune, which I find interesting. Um,
and that's an interesting point, right? Some of these runes, like I said, they're meant to tie into the game a lot, right?
the other one I really like a lot. Again, this one I think is not as generally useful but the whole concept of it and how you get it is so good is the third eye,
Oh,
because
yeah, I love
it's
the third eye.
it's
Yeah.
really a curse in a lot of ways.
Yes, yes.
And
It
it's not,
puts a
I would
third
argue
eye in your head.
mechanically. Yeah, third eye. And I would argue mechanically it's not great. Like, because it doesn't sort of tick all the boxes of, I can fight with it. I
Oh,
can,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
it doesn't have the things that a lot of them do. Like, it doesn't have a good attack.
and I would argue
It doesn't.
Not all of them need that. Like that's not
No,
actually
no,
the
no, no.
point.
There's
Like,
nothing wrong with that. It's just, it's very much its own thing. But I do quite like that because it's such a unique. It is really the one that is almost entirely accidentally. I mean, it doesn't have to be accidentally obtained, but it feels like that's the one you can.
yeah, like so
So,
the third
so
eye
I
is
do like that a lot.
literally a statue in a cave, um that has all these like molten heap of metal with a number of faces straining to peer out, a number of eyeballs with stalks. If you get close enough and look at the statue, one of the stalks will puncture a hole in your skull and put an eye there, pretty much. And you have a third eye. Now, in and this is these some of these are old copies which we have not updated to the new rules, which
Yeah,
is I really need to do all these. And in Bostonia, that's no bueno. That's not great. Um,
yeah,
the church tends to, because the third eye is a mark of the deceiver, which is like the anti god, right?
yes,
The bad god. And so typically you'd have to hide that all like
yeah.
for most of the time.
The
But
the other one I also really like because I love the contraption part of it is the Rune of the Beast, which is also not really a
mm,
uh, you
yeah,
know, uh, uh, friendly to the religious people vibing, you know,
yeah, oh yeah,
because you're now part demon basically, you know. So I do like Rune of the Beast a lot because the contraption, that you have to do to get it is just phenomenally phenomenal.
yeah.
But
I
that's a
like.
good one,
I don't mind
and it's
third
very thematic.
eye. I think third eye is, like I said, it's not a combat rune.
No,
maybe
no, no, no.
once you hit third circle, it is because you can blind 1 to 3 people, which
Sure,
is that's a fight
it
winner.
does eventually have some
That's a
very
fight
powerful
winner.
spells. Yeah,
You
but
know, like
it
you're
starts off
done.
a little light. You know.
Yeah. Um, and then Devour Revise as fourth circle is just insidious. Like that is
Yeah,
just
but no one's ever. Those aren't spells. No one's getting those.
yeah, you actually you're way more likely to get those in the new rule set than you were ever before.
That's true.
Frankly, just
That's
because
true. That is true.
that's not that high compared. You know,
No,
in
they are more approachable than they ever used to be. That's
yeah.
true.
And you definitely would need to pay something to cast that. I think is my guess,
Mm-hmm.
but except for the fact that it's wholly evil to cast, right? Because you devour someone's eyes, like you literally eat, and then you get a permanent buff. Done.
Delicious.
I don't know how I've, but yeah, you know,
Well, they're not. I mean, one of the things I like about them is they don't generally, I would say, generally have an intrinsic, um, what I would say, intent behind them.
sure,
You know,
sure,
I mean, some do, but mostly they just are what they are. And of course, a lot of that is, well, some of society. I mean, mages generally are never loved in Runebearer
no,
ever. Like, that's not the vibe. They are sort of anywhere from sort of tolerated to outright hostility, depending on what you're sporting and what you do with it. But it's not because necessarily the rune is intrinsically a problem or evil. It's just a lot of it just comes from
well, the church and
what you do with it. How
sure
you can always be evil with anything, or the church's general opposition to the concept of
of
you
magic.
having magic
Absolutely.
powers.
Yeah. Well, generally the church is against magic. That is absolutely the case. Like they do not appreciate magic at all. That actually includes the priestesses. So the priestesses, so whereas the priests in the game do not have magic typically, they're not allowed, but they're not magic, and they can cast sort of miracles. That's sort of a different type of magic. They're sort of minor effects based on the saints of the Bostonian Church. That and as a priest, you would go to the different churches and learn the prayers to the saints, and then you could get more of these mini spells, kind of. But the priestesses have honest to God magic. They get a rune, which is a very powerful rune, by the way. Partly because it's the most played rune ever, because we've almost never not had
because of my wife,
your wife, and or another woman playing the game. Like there's almost always been a woman in the group, and a lot of them have played priestesses.
Sure.
But it's your wife primarily is the driver of that, and so we're always looking to help Karen out, for sure.
It's a good rune. It's just good.
It's a good rune. There's a lot of good stuff in it, but the priests don't like the fact that they have that. There's a lot of debate whether or not the priestesses are corrupted because of magic, because of that.
I mean, because the priests are jerks.
Oh yeah, but and sometimes they need to be, and sometimes they don't, and it's all that.
Sure.
So.
I mean, I like playing them, so
yeah, right, and and they're fun. They're fun. It's fun to be. It's fun to have that righteous jerk, right? That high horse.
You are always on the side of right.
Yeah, you are. It's actually a lot like Warhammer or Warhammer 40K kind of concept, right? Like the Inquisitors are always correct, kind of, even if they're burning stuff to the ground. I like
but there's a lot of really good ones.
I do like the new Blizzard, because the new Blizzard I think is interesting in that it so I like Sacred Falls. I like the Priestess's Rune because it has played so much an inherent part of all the stories over the past 20 years that it's hard not to love, I think, right?
Absolutely.
Not just because it's a rune of the priestesses, but because Like there's literally been storylines of of you know priestesses gone bad and turning to the dark side,
Mhm.
or priestesses trying to get a resurrection spell bound permanently to their rune because of this one not random, and we'll talk about that later, but this one unique priestess who could theoretically raise the dead, and and one faction of priestesses tried to steal her dead body and bring it back to the sacred falls, while another tried to stop them.
Mhm.
So it just played such a part in the story. I like the new Blizzard because I do love. Although this definitely could use a page break somewhere in the document. Let's put a page break in. Sorry. Um, I just love. I mean, only first circle is done, so that's a little bit lame. But I just love the fact that it almost turned into a weird melee set. If that makes any sense.
Yes.
Like I
Right.
like that. I like the fact
Yeah.
that it's a
I mean,
weird.
it's very effective.
Like you could make a build around that character, that
Sure.
route. Even hell,
I
you
mean,
can make a build around that first circle. And
you could be an absolute like magical fighter with that.
yeah, I thought that was an interesting take on that, and that that evolved over the course of time. So I
Yes.
do like that. Um, I like the Hand of the Tyrant in a weird way. I like Foul Bellows because I just like its goofy bird. Because
Yeah, I like
I have a
yeah, I like
degree in bird law, and I
I like
like
Foul Bellows probably more than Hand of the Tyrant, but yes.
you know I love
Yep.
Crow's Court. I just love that spell. You summon a crow court and make your case against the target, which is whomever. The target must have
Right.
either wronged you or committed an injustice. If you save, then the target's found guilty. Otherwise, you have to pay a spell level. And then a
Right.
crow will be sent every day to harass the target, steal small items from them, crap on
Funny.
them, whatever, and
Mhm.
generally make their lives miserable for a year. It
It's
does nothing.
no,
But
it's great storytelling.
I just
It's
love
yeah,
that
it's
spell.
almost functionally useless,
Yeah,
but it's great storytelling,
but
right?
I could
Like
but
there's
if
a campaign out there where that you get that out the door early, as it were,
but
and that's a fun thing that now is a thing in throughout the entire campaign.
if you
You've
take
got
that
this.
rune, you're casting that spell once, aren't you?
I mean, I don't know why you're taking that rune and you're not casting that spell. I mean,
Right?
that's
Right?
that's that's weirdly the highlight of it, that you have this weird thing to do. I mean, you have to be in a circumstance where you have someone who wronged you. You
Yeah,
know.
or committed an injustice. So that's a little wider. That's a
Sure.
wider. Like you
Right.
could,
Sure. Sure.
oh, the
Sure. But
evil
I mean,
baron. Let's
but you
go make a
gotta
crow.
you gotta make you sort of gotta make that happen, or gotta think you can make that happen,
Yeah, yeah.
or be in a campaign where that could happen. But yeah, no, it's again, it's not a great like combat rune. It's a fun like. There's a lot of runes that fall into the. Yeah, I have a whole completely competent character, but I do this other thing on the
Well, but you
side.
can. Like mages,
Yeah.
being a
Yeah.
mage
Oh,
is not the
absolutely.
be all and end all. It's 8 points out of 50. You could
Right.
easily make a
But that's
character with
that's
be a great
sure.
swordsman and happen to have
But
a
yeah,
rune.
that's not how a lot of other games do it. And that's one thing with
True,
Runebearer that's
true.
interesting is you can really lean into being I use magic all the time. Like every combat I'm doing spells, or you can be like, hey, I have this fun side thing I do when I do it, but
This is a
they're
fan.
not.
Like for this, the like foul
Yeah.
bellows to me always smells like I'm a thief and I have this rune.
Yeah, well, the last guy did.
Yeah,
So
right. Like it's that's sort of the vibe,
mm,
kind of. If you want to be a thief mage, this is a good rune to
yeah,
do it with. Kind
thief
of.
mage, skullduggery,
Yeah.
some sort of not quite, some a little underhanded. Yeah, it's a good one for that.
So those are sort of my rando favorites. Like and don't get me like I said,
It's got a lot of great theme on
I
it.
like them all for some reason
Yeah,
or another.
sure.
Um, I think my least favorite are the virtues because they're a pain in the ass to sort of deal with as a GM typically because
Yeah,
you're a monk in a school and then right there's a lot
sure.
of that.
Yeah, it brings a whole almost like a another thing to the game that you have to sort of
Yeah,
account
you
for.
have to deal with that. Like you have to. Um,
That's not that's better in a, you know, we have a city that's a base and my monastery is there vibe rather than a
well, or
traveling
I'll just
party
I sent
or hand wave
I
it.
sent my kid
No, sure.
away. I sent my kid
Yeah.
away
I mean, that's right.
for 4 games or whatever. It's like, yep, go do your monastery thing, and
Right.
we'll talk about that offline. But yeah,
Yeah.
but that's why it's sort of my less favorite. Um,
Sure.
so okay, let's talk about mechanics. So casting spells. So spells are just skills, right? Spell level.
Yeah.
If I have a rune, I have foul bellows. I have foul bellows, and I have a skill level with it. Let's say 14. If I have blizzard, I have blizzard. Let's say I have 12, right? So I have those skill levels. They go up separately as skills. As I cast them, I get better. But when you cast, you have to roll a skill roll. And if you don't succeed by 3 or more, you're going to lose spell levels. So there's
Temporarily.
no mana per se. Instead, your skill level decreases temporarily. And then casting spells gets harder over time, right? So if I cast now, it's good and bad. There's obviously good and bad to this. The bad is that early on, if you try to cast a big old spell and you blow it and lose 3 levels, uh, you might be in a death spiral kind of thing, right?
Sure.
Which is not fun, or you might lose those abilities to some degree, which is never super fun. Um, but I don't, and I'm not sure exactly. Like I did want to avoid, say, a mana point sort of concept, and early on that was it. That was all you could do. But we have allowed in the interim, in the intervening years, mages can burn 3 hit points instead of burning spell levels. So if you have to burn 1 spell level, 3 hit points, 3 spell levels, which is the most you can lose in any one time, 9 hit points, which is a ton, by the way.
I mean, that's
Um,
pretty brutal. That might be a third of their hit points.
yeah, but you can avoid the spell level loss, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I like that system. I'll be totally honest. Versus another resource kind of thing. I mean, it's not. It's another. It's. You don't have to track another resource, so that's easy. That's yay. That's good. Um, but you could very easily just give them mana. But I do like the
Yeah.
idea of if I'm good enough, I can cast these spells forever if I'm careful enough, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, Runebearer now is way easier on people than Runebearer in the past was because you have inspiration.
I do like the sort of a little bit of risk reward of I can try to roll a tough spell, which maybe say does the
Right.
thing, but maybe I blow it and then I'm sort of out of magic reasonably for the fight. So there's a bit
Yeah.
of, how much do I want to, how much risk am I willing to take right now to do the thing I want to do? Or do I want to just stick with easier spells and maybe that's enough?
Right. You are sort of downcasting. If you want to preserve your spell levels, then you're sort of downcasting. You know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah,
casting first circle spells when you could be casting second or right.
right.
I'm a third circle mage and I want to just totally preserve everything. I could cast first circle spells. Um and have an easy time and just fire one around
Sure.
kind of thing, right? That's almost like your
Yeah.
cantrip at that point.
Well, but yeah, that is almost like, or like, well, in D&D parlance, I'm going to go cantrip, or I've got a bunch of these fourth level slots,
Yeah.
or first level slots. I'm not going to use the big fourth level spell. I don't
Right,
need to
right.
for this fight. This round. I'm just doing, magic missile. Sort of a run of the mill attack, right?
Right. And then when
And
you, like I said, when the chips are down or the big barbarian is charging you and you want to encase him in ice, well then you're casting at a DL 18 or something, right? And you're,
right,
hoping,
yeah,
oh, I'm one level down. I'm 17. I'm hoping I hit this 18 because I got to hit this guy.
Right.
but I have inspiration. Hopefully, I don't
Sure.
have fatigue because then the GM's going to screw me. Right.
That's why it all
Um,
works so well together.
you know, so I do ultimately like it. I like the fact that there's that little bit of risk reward. I agree with you. Like that, instead of just spend mana kind of and track mana,
Yeah.
and then
That's
it's
boring.
it's more, man, I could cast this spell, but boy, I could burn out in a heartbeat. And so young mages are often very weak, and they might only get one or two spells off in a given day, right?
Right.
Whereas powerful mages are very powerful, and they might have infinite low grade spells, but as the stakes get higher, they are encouraged to take more risks effectively.
Right.
And then spell levels do not come back super fast. You get, now don't get me wrong, they come back reasonably fast. You get 2d4 of them a night that
Yeah,
distribute
it's not
amongst all
bad.
your runes. That's actually really good. That's 5. That's an average
Yeah.
of 5 a night.
Right.
Typically, if you're not an uber mage, that's enough,
Sure.
right? Like
Well,
that's,
if you had one fight or
yeah,
one, like if you had a series of encounters, though, you could be down either a lot or you're just out of levels. Like you're like, I can't roll now.
yeah,
My deals are 12 and my skill is a 7. I mean,
yeah.
what's the
Like
point?
you can totally get there.
You know.
Yes.
Right.
And and now typically you don't, because typically you're not casting like that, but there is maintenance, which we'll talk about, which can drag you, burn you
Right.
down like that. But you get 2d4 a night, which is reasonable. And then there's also meditation, right? So there's a skill.
Yeah.
I call this this is the mage tax
Yeah.
right, there's
Sure.
a separate skill which can give you more spell levels if you meditate as opposed to doing anything else during a camp.
Right.
You can meditate, and based on your success in meditation, you get more spell levels to spend to put back into your spells.
Sure.
There's Go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but also if you're a very high level mage, you could potentially burn a lot of levels in a day because you have more levels,
absolutely.
right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if
Like
you have multiple
if your skill
runes,
level's 18, you could burn to down to 10 and still be casting spells like confidently of first circle, right?
yes,
Reasonably, right? And but you're down 8, so that night comes, you're like, ooh, I maybe I don't get all those back,
yeah,
or I roll poorly on my meditation and or my my resting roll, and oh, you got 4 back. Well, you're down 8, so
yeah.
enjoy
Oh
that.
yeah, you are you
You
are
know?
hampered for the day, kind of
Yeah,
thing. Like, so there definitely is a, we don't often see it because I think a lot of people are relatively conservative,
sure,
and a lot of people burn hit points. A lot of mages in our campaigns burn hip. They're very quick to burn hit points,
sure.
which I do understand.
Because they're not usually in the front line, so
That's usually an easier gig. Something to think about. Maybe that's actually a problem in the game. I don't hate it, but I
no, I think it's a fair.
yeah.
Plus, some spells also force you to lose levels.
Right, there is the concept of fatigue. So some spells. So usually, so I'll tell you the theory behind this. Um, Typically, fatigue. I don't say it could be powerful spells. Like some powerful spells cause fatigue. What fatigue is you lose those levels no matter what.
Yeah,
Um, Done. But I will say this. Uh, I will say this. It's typically not because it's powerful. I'll tell you where I put fatigue typically, and so I've only written up half, 8 of these, so I need to write up the other 40 or whatever that exist, or god awful
sure.
number. Where I typically put fatigue is where I feel a spell is relatively cheap, but does something that is either weird to the campaign world, and I'll explain that in a second, or steps on someone else's toes.
I also think some of them sort of have at least it feels to me, although I'd have to look the list, has a sort of a more permanent or ongoing effect.
Yeah. Well,
Like
then, yeah.
something that just, like you're getting maybe it's a summons or maybe it's something that just keeps doing a thing, which is, and that may be just, well, it's a little powerful, or just,
Yeah.
even if the effect's not that powerful, it's not transitory.
Well,
It's
I'll tell you what. So, for instance, if you had a spell that picked a lock, like a knock,
right, sure,
I would make it fatigue,
right, because that's what the thief is for.
because that's what the guy with pick lock is for. If and
Right.
not every rune is gonna have a pick lock, right? Or you know
No,
what I
no,
mean? Like that's
very
not
few, but
right.
yeah,
But that's what that's for. If you have like Earth's Blood, for instance, has a melt stone, that's gonna have
sure,
fatigue, and the reason is because that gets you out of situations that otherwise would be for other characters to get you out of. Traps,
sure.
go through walls instead of
I see.
doors,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like I try to, one thing I don't love about D&D Magic is it, most wizards can do most every other character's role in a party typically.
eventually, yeah, absolutely.
Eventually. Or things like create food. Create food to me is something that should take a fatigue, because that is some weird that wrecks an aspect of the game.
Right, because that would be a survival role
Yeah,
or
right.
hunting role, or some sort of something like that, where you're taking a stressor away that someone else would have to try to do by
Yeah,
just magicking it,
that's the idea, right? The idea is if that takes some weird, like cure disease would be, because if you know, because otherwise with enough priestesses at a certain level there is no more disease.
Sure.
So there's almost got to be a cost, and that might be investiture. It's so good,
It might
right?
be.
Like,
It might be. Yeah.
you know, and investiture is permanent loss. Investiture
Yeah.
means you're essentially burning experience.
Right.
You can regain that level. You're allowed to regain that level. But if you have a 14 and cast a spell with investiture 1, you now have a 13 permanently. You've dropped.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is A, powerful. So a lot of fourth circle spells will have investiture in them somewhere. Um, the idea simply being they're powerful enough that they just cost. And the idea is to make you think about using them. Even fatigue. Do I want to cast my picklock spell when there's a perfectly good thief right here? Or do I just cast it A when I'm alone, or B when we're desperate? And that's sort of the idea. It's like the John had the portal, and the portal has the door. The what is it? Um,
The keyhole.
he has the keyhole spell,
Right.
right? So he has the spell that allows you to look through a door. Well,
Without opening it.
without opening it. Okay,
Right.
that's interesting, but and
Sure.
same thing with a summon, and most summons have some, I think, fatigue, because the idea
Yeah.
is, do I want to cast that or not?
Yeah. Because you're adding in a whole nother combatant to the fight
To,
too.
Today, I don't want to cast that. You know what I mean? Because do I really need to go from 14 to 13? And you know, and if it's desperate, then you'll do it. But if it's not, then you won't, kind of thing, right? That's
Yeah.
the idea. I like that. I think that's a fun.
Yeah.
And it's not mana, because mana's easy. Fatiguing a spell level actually makes it harder to cast later. And so that's one where you go early in the adventure, the boss fight, okay, maybe I do it.
Sure.
Right? But not early in the boss fight, because I might need to cast.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like that's
Or
the
your
idea.
level might not be high enough later to
to
handle it,
thing.
though.
Yeah.
That's the trade-off. Yeah.
So
I do like it.
yeah, no, I'm happy
Plus, I
with.
think it's just there's a very much of runes have cost, I think, which is a vibe.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. Yeah.
it just keeps in with the theme of, runes are a tax on you ish in some way. And so even if mechanical, there's a tax of level, or it's sort of it's saying it's appropriate for the theme of them.
Yeah, I do appreciate the, high level spells literally cost you experience for all intents and purposes to cast sometimes, some of them. because otherwise, why is the world not covered in marsh or
Yeah, because if
fire or blizzard,
sure.
right? Um, because all it takes is one mage casting those spells to do that. But if this mage is going to have to spend experience, well, that's a rougher deal. So where are we at here? Combat. So oh yeah, so for very, very easy combat. We have all the modifiers, right? So the idea is casting when you're in the fray. So in the fray means a melee combatant is adjacent to you. It could be um and we actually have active enemy combatant, it says. So that's kinder than some of our in the frays. So I might change
Yeah,
that.
that's true. It
Active
depends on.
melee combatant is next year considered in the fray. And you
Mm.
take penalties. You take penalties to blocking or parrying when you're casting, essentially. Now, we added and if you take this is the awkward thing, and I will say this. I don't care. I'm not going to change the rule, but it is awkward, and I understand that people would see this rule and go, "Oh, that's ridiculous." Typically, a spell that takes a round, you cast it in round one, and it goes off at the very beginning of your turn on round two. So we call it drum rolling. So on round one, the mage might say, I am casting fireball or whatever, right? Whatever they're going to cast. And you say, okay, you were drum rolling, and you were drum rolling until the beginning of your turn on round two. You release the spell, the effects go off, and then you have a full action to do whatever the hell you want because it doesn't cost anything to release the spell. And you could drum roll again and go, well, I'm going to cast another fireball, and then that would go off at the beginning of round three. The reason for that, from a game perspective, is very simple. You've got to give people a way to interrupt spells. In my opinion, I know that that's not typical nowadays. How do you feel about spells being potentially interrupted? How do you feel about drum rolling, Scott? There you go.
I mean that's how what all spells used to be. You made it easier.
That's funny, but yeah.
So I'm okay. I,
Like drum rolling
I,
is a weird.
I'm from the newfangled spells, and your don't have to drum roll your spells. Like, no, I think I like that. I don't mind that some spells don't have to be drum rolled because I think it's fair that some spells are quick enough or so intrinsically tied to maybe a style of play or a melee mage that, but if you had to drum roll every spell, that'd be really hard to do anything with them,
Right, right.
So I like that some don't have it that are appropriate, but I generally feel yes, most spells should probably have to be drum rolled because that's how it was, and I sort of agree with you as well. It works both ways, but if spells are just powers that you activate, it doesn't feel very magical.
Well, and so then there was a lot of back and forth in my head about this, but
It doesn't feel like there's a fighter can do much about that. Oh, I cast a spell. Oh, I hit you. Here it all happens right now. You're like,
yeah.
okay, well, there you go.
And
So it's
again,
just
yeah,
a special effect, right?
and I would argue that weirdly it sucks when you're just doing damage, for instance, because in the sense
Sure.
of, you know, it takes an extra round largely to get a spell off. Now you're not
Right.
getting any less off attacks off than anyone else, really, in the scheme of
No,
things.
it just delays it by a round.
But it delays it by a round. You're vulnerable in that time. But if you're
But if
just
you
doing
want, if
damage, it's
sure,
not a huge deal. But that gives a reason for your fighters and your other characters to protect you, which I like.
sure. Well,
Um,
and if your main goal is to just do damage, make an archer.
yeah, Yes, you would be way
because
better
that
off. By the way, you're
because that
way more efficient.
because it's just an attack roll. You don't have to make a spell roll and an attack roll because most attack spells still require both the casting roll and the attack
And a
roll.
2-hit, yes, which sucks.
Yeah,
Yes.
so if now their advantage is they do magical damage, and that's why they're awesome. Because when you
Yeah.
fight the thing that is resistant or possibly immune to normal physical damage, you're really happy you have a mage with a spell.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
Because those arrows now do nothing. But yeah, if your goal is in a general fight to just do damage at range or damage in melee, just make some sort of either fighter or archer. That's not, it's great that I think, Runebearer or mages have that ability, but that should be that's not their primary purpose. And some runes don't even have it. So,
Yeah, well, absolutely. We just talked about that. Like some runes
right.
aren't that at all.
The more elemental ones typically do because they're
Sure.
elemental, but the weird ones, like they don't do damage, or they don't do normal damage. They do weird things,
I mean,
so it's all good.
Yeah, and there's some which again are crazy good for, Hand of Lightning's a good attack rune for sure.
Hand of Lightning does more damage than anything else in the game, arguably.
Yeah.
But that's sort of its sham.
Yeah, it can be, it's not it's pretty good ultimately, I think.
I think it's got a 3d10 or 2d10 or
no, it's a 2d10 chain.
2d10 chain. So 2d10 with an area of effect component.
And then the bolt is 1d10 plus POW plus 1 die step. So you could be doing 2d12 easy.
Yeah.
There.
I mean, that's better than an archer, but it's got the penalty of you got to cast it, you've got to hit with it, got a drum roll, but it's also doing magical damage and has potentially, I can't read that from here, but either a secondary effect of dazed and or stunt.
No, did I make it big enough for you? Come on.
No, I'm lean back. I'm chilling here.
Hold on.
Nope, you don't understand.
Do I bold it?
I'm 4 feet from my monitor, and I'm never gonna read that.
It's funny as shit. No, I get you.
And now I'm good.
This is for anyone who watches this video.
Yeah, sure. But that is the big. If you want to play a blasty combat mage, that's the one to have.
It's a good one to have. Firewinder's good too, but that's a good one to have. Yeah.
Yeah, Firewinder's weirder because you lose body parts.
Totally different beast, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Very effective. So I think it's a good, it's good. I like it.
Yeah, I don't hate I don't hate drum rolling, but I think I
mean, I wouldn't get rid of it. I wouldn't convert them all to. I mean, that's a bad idea, I think.
I would say this. I would argue that and I wouldn't do this for Runebearer in Bostonia, but I think Sword Sphere has a fun alternative, which is you have to drop color, quote unquote. Like magic requires a color.
Because it makes magic overall harder to do, but not the act of the casting of the spell. That's easy.
Yeah.
But the rest of it is harder to do.
Yeah. So I like drum
compromise.
I like the idea of your spell goes off at the beginning of the next round, that your turn. So everybody has a whole turn to screw with you. So you better be protected. And if I'm on archer and and you're doing a big wind up, I might do counter battery fire and try to get you to drop that spell.
Absolutely. Or the fighter will charge you, or
fighter
whatever.
Charge, yeah. Now what it does do, I'll tell you what it does do. Believe it or not, it makes running freaking NPC enemy mages hard.
Hard, yeah.
Like there's never a party that does not have an archer or two which can gun down a mage.
Sure.
So it does make, whereas I think in, a game which does not have that, where spells are not, did not take a whole full round, typically.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to get off that cone of cold or that sleep or that cloud kill or whatever. Like you can get that off. Like that's
sure.
But boy, it's hard. If I'm an archer, I'm waiting for the mage to pop out and do his thing.
Yeah, and like D&D, or especially 5e, you can punish the wizard after they cast whatever they're going to do with
Yeah,
whoever
sure.
survived it, because they had to come out enough to expose themselves to do that. But you can't stop them from doing it. It's
No.
more of just like, can I make them regret that choice later?
Runebearer is a harder
Yeah.
the you definitely don't want a solo mage, like typically to try to
No.
kill unless you have total advantage. Like I'm casting from a perch up top above them with some
Sure.
cover. Like there's always that, but I mean in
No,
a
they.
general
Yeah.
fight, it's very difficult to get the big mage with the big fight when you have a couple archers that are trying to shoot that guy. That becomes a hard deal.
Yeah, and you can't run in a normal Runebearer campaign. You can't run a party of mages because
Well,
they can't.
no, I will say this.
They
So
can't.
yes,
I
I
mean,
will
it
say
depends
this
on how
though.
they're built.
I
You
will
know.
say this. I always thought. Now it couldn't do it in the group we have now because they're too big, too much, too freaking much. I always thought it'd be
No,
super
sure.
fun to have a campaign which was literally all mages doing
No, I.
some magey quest thing that only magic users could do, right? They were
Yeah,
like if you had 4 or 5 players, you just go, you
sure.
all have to make mages.
I mean, no. I love that idea, but someone has to at least be able to be a frontline mage as well, right?
It's just one of the yes, it would, but you know what I mean. Like it's just a fun concept idea, but it
I mean, I'm
does
in.
put you at a.
Right.
It's a rough haul. If you have a
Sure.
bunch of, you have 15 goblins charging the line.
Hmm.
You might
And there's no
you'll
line.
never get that spell off. Like
Yeah.
they're cutting you
Sure.
down before you can get that spell off typically. Um. So yeah, there's this like. But having said that, we also made it easier to cast spells because there are spells that are words. So every spell has a cast time. Cast times are not super well defined in Runebearer. That's one thing I sort of thought was, I'd say goofy, but I didn't care to sit there in like D&D and say this casts 3 segments. This takes right, you know what I mean? Now, I will say this. Super originally, spells had initiative ratings that casting them upped or lowered your initiative, but I dropped that. That was not okay. Um, but spells roughly fall into word. Oh, I'm sorry. I just word, combat, not engaged, which is not super common anymore, but not engaged. So those are the 3 spells you can cast in combat. So there's a hard line between things you can cast in combat and things you cannot cast in combat. That's the first thing in which I do sort of like in Runebearer because it's like,
Yeah.
oh, these are the combat spells and these are the non-combat spells. And don't get me wrong, it does ruin probably some clever idea someone had, and I go, is that very short or is that combat? Right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Um,
Sure.
oh, I could cast. I don't know. I don't know what. Create ropes. I have no idea. By the way, I just said that.
Hmm.
And I go, well, is that a combat spell or is that a very short? And they go, it's very short. And I go, well, you can't cast that in combat. If you're in combat, if we're in rounds, you can't cast that. So there's 3 types of spells you can cast in combat: word, combat, not engaged. Word, half phase, so half action. It does take your attack action, so it does end your turn. So you do typically not, right? You move and cast or whatever. You don't care about being in the fray. That's sort of the whole touch spell kind of thing, right? I get
Yeah.
my hand becomes ice or whatever. Super quick or defensive spells. A lot of defensive spells are words. So that the mage can get them up quickly as opposed to having to drum roll defense. Which I think's a nice
Yep.
trade-off for them, right? And there's
Like a
some
shield spell or
yeah,
something, maybe.
shields
Or
and shit like that. Boom, you get them up. You can get them up that round.
Yep.
I think that's a fair. Combats are what we talked about. They take a whole round to cast. Not engaged is I can cast it in combat, but I shouldn't. That's really what that means.
Yeah.
I can't be in the fray. I can't take any hits.
Yeah.
Like I could cast that if I'm hidden, for instance.
Or maybe if you're behind a solid line of fighters,
Yeah, like they have no way to get to
no
me.
one can really engage you. They don't have archers or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a hard one to get off.
this,
Or
yeah,
it's just you're somehow in a weird circumstance where you're somehow in rounds, but you're not really being actively threatened. But the clock's ticking, right?
yeah.
So
Like,
it's
yeah,
so like you've started there's a countdown timer, so we're counting rounds,
yeah,
but no one's actively fighting you right now,
sure,
but you might be real soon. So that might be the time you cast that.
yeah. There's not a lot of those, but there's a few of those where it's like,
Yeah,
yeah, this you have to concentrate, but you can cast it quick, but you have to concentrate. Like this isn't, you
right.
know, not a lot of those, but there are a couple. And then everything else, I hate to say I don't care, but I sort of don't care, right? Like it's rounds and not rounds. But
Yeah,
having said that, it comes down to very short is you just have to not be in rounds. So
yeah,
if I haven't said roll initiative, you can cast this spell. So you might be holding the door from the goblins, like the fighters might be holding the door and the goblins might be pounding the door. You can cast that spell. Short, long, okay. Maybe you
yeah,
can't get that off, right?
right. Not enough
Um,
time.
yeah, and very long are crazy ones. Very long's like I'm going to change the weather patterns around Bostonian. Hold on, that'll take 5 days, kind of
Yeah,
thing, right? Um, but yeah, like instead of being super crazy about specific times, we just go, well, okay. So, for instance, between fights, a very short spell is fine. Like, right? You know what I mean? Like, okay, we
sure.
killed those goblins, but these ones are coming up the hill. I have a very short spell. I have a short spell. Well, you can't cast that. That's too long. But a very short, you could, kind of thing,
Right.
right? Absolutely. So, I think that works. I've never had a problem adjudicating whether a spell could be cast or not in a given time frame,
Hmm.
given those 82 categories. No, there's what, one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 categories.
I think it's good. I like
Yeah,
it. So those
I don't
those
hate
are
it. I don't hate it.
the only
Um,
real addition was words.
and I added words because I'm like, yeah, I like the idea of defensive spells coming up quickly. I like the
Sure.
idea of touch spells coming up quickly. Like I think that all
They're really
lines
hard to
up.
use otherwise, you know.
Yeah, yeah. It's harder to justify a touch spell. Um, but but in the last campaign we've gotten tons of use out of like words
Sure.
were very
Oh,
very
that
well
was
used. I
oh,
would
that
say.
was yeah. That was a lot of the go-to because they were easy to cast, they were low level, and they're often lower level spells too. They're less
Yes,
powerful.
yes, yeah, absolutely.
There's a bit of, oh, you want the big gun? No, no, no. That's not a word. That's that
Mm.
that's a you're drum rolling the
You're
big
drum rolling.
cannon
You're
stuff.
drum rolling.
Yeah.
Which
But the little shocky spell, sir, the little shocky spell, that might be a word or
yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
absolutely. Okay, so we're going to talk about probably the most complicated mechanic in Runebearer is maintaining spells.
Got a whole page.
It is a whole page, by the way. Um, which there you go. As complicated as it is, it's one page. So maintaining spells, you don't. So typically, if you're maintaining a single spell, it's so certain spells are maintainable and certain spells are not maintainable. Done. That's it. If you cast a firebolt, it's not maintainable. If you cast a shield spell on yourself, it probably is maintainable, right? That's typically how it goes. Um, a lot of summons aren't maintainable, but a lot of utility spells are maintainable. As a for instance, so light is probably
Hmm.
maintainable, etc.
Sure.
If you're maintaining a single spell, it's actually very easy to do. It's the deal of the spell -2. So if you cast a DL10 spell, it's 8 to maintain. It's actually cheaper to maintain than to cast again, typically. And more to the point, if you roll it and fail, it doesn't matter. You just have to pay the level cost and or the hit points, technically,
Mhm. Yep.
and you get to maintain the spell. There's no failing maintaining. You just, it's how much do you have to pay? So let's say you have a spell that holds a door shut, for instance, and you got the enemy army on the other side of the door. And this spell lasts for 10 minutes. And you're like, my God, we need 60 minutes to hold this door for 60 minutes and we'll be out of here. You cast the spell, you're holding the door, they're banging on the door. At the end of 10 minutes, let's say that spell's a DL 14, for instance. I don't know what it would be, but let's say it's a DL 14. You cast it a DL 12. Let's say you succeed, but you lose a level. You can choose to lose a level right there, or 3 hit points. Fine. Let's say you fail. Let's say you blow the roll. You roll a 1, I roll a 12. Done. You blow that roll. You lose 3 levels. You don't fail. You can keep that spell up. But you have to lose the 3 levels or the 9 hit points. And that's how you, that starts to burn down, right? Whatever, right? And then of course, so you can burn down all the way to 0 by doing that. So you can maintain and burn down your spell levels that way, and that's sort of how that works, right? Maintaining multiple spells is where it gets clunky. I don't love this mechanic. I don't hate this mechanic.
You have to roll the maintenance every interval of duration of the spell.
Yes, if the spell lasts an hour, it's every hour. If it's 6 rounds, you have to cast. You have to redo it.
Which gets wackier when you have multiple spells.
So when you have multiple spells, we break them up into 2 different types of durations. Duration would be combat spells and non-combat spells, essentially, right? Like that's sort of how it. But the durations are rounds and not rounds, pretty much. You actually maintain them separately. This is almost just a gift to mages in a weird way.
Sure.
So you could have a shield spell up because you're in combat, but also be maintaining the door spell, right? The hold door. You add up all the you don't add up, I should say. You take. So let's say you have 3 spells. You have a DL 14 and 2 DL 10s that you're maintaining. You take the highest DL that you have, 14, you subtract 2. Done. So that's 12. And then you add half of every other spell you're maintaining. So 5 and 5. And frankly, we made it easier because the spell DLs have all been, in this version, are all standard, if that makes any sense, right? It's 10, 14, 18, and 22, although I don't know that the fourth circle spells might be different, but they're all about the same, right? They're all standardized. So I have 1 DL 14. That is a 12. I add 5 and 5 to that because I'm maintaining 2 DL 10 spells. That means I have to roll against a DL 22 to maintain. If I fail that, my options are to burn the hit points or to burn the levels or to drop 1 or more of those spells to get to the point where I can drop less hit points or less levels or none of them because I succeeded. And that's sort of your choice. Clunky?
It doesn't come up.
We don't so often get to that point where that's that big a deal. You're usually maintaining 1 spell, usually, maybe 2, right? I think.
Yeah.
You know,
I think it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's not great, but it's okay. I've never had a game crash to a halt because of this rule. Does that
Yeah.
make any sense? Like I've
Well,
never.
you just, you're generally not casting so many spells that are maintainable that you're maintaining that many spells at a time.
You could, and it does you could, you just could, but yeah, I get you, right? It's just not that common, but you could be. That would be something where I could easily see where you're maintaining some kind of area effect geas on an area and then right, but still having to fight, as a for instance, right? And
Sure.
that sort of that would then invoke all these rules. You could be doing that. You could be maintaining two long-term spells, for instance. You go, oh, I have 2 hour spells, and you do that. By the way, you roll that at the duration of the lowest duration of the spells that you have. So if you cast a spell that's a minute and a spell that's an hour, you have to maintain every minute, which is a little clunky for you. The idea
I mean, but
is that
yeah,
spells should compound, like because otherwise it'd be very easy to maintain a lot of spells forever.
right.
Once you get to a certain point, I should say.
That's
Um,
also a decision. Like if you know you have a minute spell and an hour spell, you could just decide, well, do I really need a minute spell? Because
right.
if I'm only casting an hour spell, that's a lot easier to maintain because it's now once an hour. I get a
Mhm.
lot more out of that. Is it really worth casting two different spells with dramatically different time intervals because it forces both to happen every minute?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't. Again, it's that risk versus reward, right?
Yeah,
It's
there's a little bit of mental math,
yeah,
where you go, wait, well, hold on. I have to maintain this every 3 rounds.
right. That's rough.
Maybe I don't need it on round 4. Maybe I just drop it and let it go.
Yeah,
Because my 10 round spell, I don't have to worry about it. I mean, and there's not a lot of maintaining in combat usually. It's usually for the longer things, but the examples has 10 rounds and 6 rounds, so that's why I sort of
sure.
thought of that, right? But yeah, like like if you have a 3 hour spell and a 1 minute spell, I would not cast the I would only cast the 1 minute spell as I needed it, if that makes any
Right.
sense.
You're almost better just, well, I'm just going to cast that when I have to have it, and I'll just maintain the 3 hours.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of that sort of thought process in there. And again, I don't hate it. I could see people, I could see, don't get me wrong, no one else runs this game, but I could see people who run the game otherwise going, I don't want to deal with that. I'll just make something up. I get that. I can totally see that.
Because they're weak.
That's, I agree with you. Um,
What? It's not hard.
no,
And I don't think it comes up enough to be that hard.
yeah.
Like
I get you. I get you.
it's infrequent enough in a sort of quote issue that when you do, you go, just refresh yourself. Okay, that's what I do with the rules. Okay, fine. You know,
Yeah, and for any given
you just
situation, you can calculate it and go, "This is what we're doing. We're rolling every
right.
2 minutes a thingy, and then you're gonna burn your rune. Done. If
I
you
mean, I think in general, my takeaway from Runebearer Magic is if you decide, I'm smiling as I'm about to say this, by the way,
okay, I can't wait for
just
this now.
just if you
Okay.
decide that
Oh,
you are going
okay.
to play,
I know where you're
uh,
going already.
you,
By the way,
oh, good.
I already know where you're going with
Are
this.
you also
Yep.
smiling as well
Nope.
now? That's all I want to know.
You can see it on the video. I
Good.
am
No,
grinning
I'm
ear to
sorry.
ear. Go ahead.
I don't not have
No,
your.
I get
I
you.
just
I
have
get
your.
you.
If you decide you're going to play a mage and Runebearer,
Yes.
then you need to. That is the most complicated. You have a whole rule subset, which is non-trivial. I will agree. It's not. I don't think a hard set of rules, but you're adding an entire. It's much like my weird rant here. When I used to play Squad Leader, Advanced Squad Leader, once you add vehicles to
Yes.
Squad Leader,
Totally changed the
you've
game.
added a
Yep.
whole hard, relatively difficult subset of rules to what's a relatively straightforward game. And that's a big hurdle to get over. Like, and that's a bit like Runebearer. Like, if you're gonna play the mage, you have to comprehend that you have a whole additional set of rules that you just have to learn. Like if you just wanted to play a fighter, it's not hard, guys. Not really. You have one skill. It's probably your main combat skill, whatever that weapon is. Yes, there are maneuvers and there's facing and there's wounds and there's a bunch of stuff, but all that applies to wizards too. You know, but what you do in combat is I use the weapon that I have. I use the one skill roll I have. I roll it against the target's defense. And if I hit, I roll my damage. And you don't have to think a whole lot more than that. But if you're going to play the wizard, you got to think about a lot of rules. You got to think about, is it a combat spell? Is it not a combat spell? Are there penalties to be in combat when I cast it? I have to maintain spells. I have to keep track of my runes level. I have to rest and then it goes back up. There's just a whole additional rule set there that you are going to have to interact with. And you just have to know those rules. Like, you do have more power. Like, I will say, for 8 points, you get a lot out of that.
Yeah, you can.
It's the most powerful way to spend 8 points in the game.
Yes, and
because otherwise, that's what 2.5 skills, not even 3 skills.
That's always been a problem, a little bit. Like, you can't if you make it so expensive,
right?
So yeah, no, they're underpriced. I totally agree. Which is why typically I just put a limit. I just go, you two of you can be mages, done.
Yeah, I can't have 8 of you of mages. That's too much.
And don't get me wrong, Runebearer absolutely suffers from magic is rare, but mages are common.
Well, because you want to have it in your game.
Because it's fun and it's interesting. Typically,
arguably it is sort of the point of the game. Like, runes are the fun.
I mean, but they're fun, right? They're super fun.
Right.
I get it, right?
Like, I wouldn't super want to play a Runebearer campaign where nobody played a Runebearer.
I mean,
like, that'd
be fun. That'd be fun in a different way.
Sure. But somebody should at
you're
least.
All playing like knights or some bullshit, right? Like all nobles with come on.
You could. But I wouldn't prefer it.
I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, it's like saying no one in the D&D party's a mage. Like, you always have a mage in a D&D party. Done. Regardless of what it is. You almost always do. Same thing here. Now, some of your mages, the funny part is, in this game, in Runebearer, some of your mages might not be magey. Like, they might, right? They might all take weird things. Like, well, I took Virtue of the Mind, and I took Third Eye, and I took Crow Magic, Foul Bellows.
Right.
None of us are fighter. I mean, we have to I have a knife. I punch people. They all do something different because they can't. Because the magic's not going to do the thing for them. But it is fun to have mages in Runebearer, in my opinion. Like, that is my joy is that, to be like, I love fun fighters. Like, I thought, for instance, our last campaign, I thought Nick's character was great with his lance and his horse on his horseback. Like his spears and that, right? I thought that was super fun. And we made a lot of allowances for alchemists. I think alchemists are way more better than they were, and so on.
Yeah, they're a lot more viable.
But I love a mage. You know me. I love a good mage. I love a good fun.
No, and I think it's a good rule set to play a mage. It's just, but there's a bit of a rules tax. Like, you have more rules that you have to interact with, and that's the price for that power. Like, because you can do stuff nobody else can do. Period.
Absolutely. Well, 100%. I mean, it's and that's, again, that's the whole point, right? Like, there's a dichotomy of trying to make it so that mages don't always rule the battlefield. And again, once you get the fourth circle, they can definitely do a lot on the battlefield.
Sure.
But again, if you have a mage with a 20 skill level and a fighter with a 20 skill level, I think the mage does indeed at that point surpass the fighter typically.
Sure, because they probably have spells that just win fights. potentially.
Yeah, in some cases, but I do also think that there is enough of a window that they don't always win, if that makes any sense, right?
Yeah, and they're not,
Like
and
literally
they
it takes
still,
one hit. Like if you get that, you get your guy and you get up there and you hit him, he go like right, he break his spell, he drops. Do you know what I
well,
mean? Like
they still need to be supported as
yeah,
a rule.
right. Like if you
Fighters
there's
don't need to be supported; they can just
fighters are
operate.
the support typically.
Yeah,
Um, and more so than in D&D. Like in D&D, old school D&D, I do still think mages had enough tricks and wide enough breadth of tricks that they could win a fight. You put 100 goblins against a 15th level magic user, and I still bet on the 15th level magic user.
sure.
Um, in anything but you're already surrounded territory.
Yeah, yeah.
But even that, I have to go back and look at what like a prismatic sphere is or whatever. But but there's a lot of you know but if you put one fourth circle wizard against a party of say 6 that are reasonably skilled, of course, because
I'm betting on the party most of
I
the
still
time.
bet on the party of 6. The fourth circle wizard could probably do a ton of damage in some weird way, and might have, and you don't know, based on the rune, might have a fight ender that they still win. You know what I mean? Like or whatever, like a
I
summon.
mean, you could have amazing spells that just
or
aren't
a
appropriate
wall
for
of yeah, whatever.
but they might have spells that aren't that appropriate for combat.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
the fourth circle mage might be able to destroy the town with the earthquake. That doesn't win that fight against that party.
yeah. I mean, yes, maybe. It
But he might
depends.
be able to destroy the town.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I like the balance. I will say that. Like I've never thought. So for instance, we've never gotten to a point where no one wants to play a mage. Like we've never had a game where no one's like, "Oh, mages are weak. I don't want to play a mage."
No. They're always sought after.
Everybody's fucking playing a mage, right? You know,
sure.
what I mean? like everybody, like people want to play mages. You always
you mostly have to say, no, that's too many mages.
You got 2. I got 2. You got two slots for mages.
Have that many in the party. Yeah.
And yet I don't feel that they dominate the battlefield. How's that? Like
no,
so I like
different.
that balance. So it means they're interesting.
Yeah.
But not so powerful that it's the obvious choice and everybody should just do it all the time.
Right.
Like if I'm playing, if I played and someone ran, I'd be like, you know what? I could just buy some real good armor and have a 2-handed weapon, and I'd be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
In most cases. And if I wanted to be complicated, I'd play a mage. Like, you know what I mean? If I wanted to sort of think about it, I'd play a mage kind of thing. We have added, so there are spell alterations, right? So you can like, you are allowed to try to do something weird with a spell that the GM hasn't thought of, or I have more to the point, I have not thought of. The designer hasn't thought of. Oh, I want to use the lightning to fuse his armor in place or whatever. And the GM, so we have some arbitrary, it's a little arbitrary, right? The GM goes, you can cast at a +4 DL. Done. Right? Based on how different it is from the actual use of the spell, determines what we think the DL is. Like an alteration, for instance, right? Oh, there it is. The Eye of the Hurricane is facing a heavily armored opponent. He wants to use his large bolt to fuse the armor joints, and he decides to do a DL penalty of 4 kind of thing, right? Those are very arbitrary. It's sort of The problem with that comes down to once you like, right, it's ruling, it's my bitch with the OSR tenet of rulings
Right.
versus rules. Rulings
Yeah.
are rules,
Yeah.
actually, because once you make a ruling, why isn't that ruling permanent?
Right. Because is that now just whatever that spell was to the +4 DL? Is that basically a permanent entangle against all heavily armored foes?
Right, yeah, like
Like,
that's
is that the I win button? Oh, you have metal armor. Oh, I have the spell that defeats you every time if I can roll the +4.
yeah,
And should that, as long as you go, well, that's maybe an equivalent DL of a spell I would have designed for that rune, and it seems
yes,
okay. But if you just are sort of getting away with effectively having a spell your rune has no reason to have, are we
right.
just going, that's a workaround, you
Look,
know?
I love clever shit. If you're gonna do a clever
Right,
thing, do a clever thing. Like, and
sure.
I'm willing
You
to,
don't want to say don't be clever. It's just it
but you
has to be
always have to be,
balanced.
you want to, like, you always have to be careful. And I think this is
Yeah,
true in all games, right? Because I do think, like, oh, I throw sand in his eyes.
sure.
Okay, it works. He makes a save,
Great.
he fails, and now he's blind. And now you get a couple rounds of him being blind. Why would not every character, why would you not carry sand?
Right. It's every fight I open with
Right?
sand.
I open with sand. Fuck it. Like, we're not,
It's a precedent set. It's a free blind.
right.
If
Same
he
thing
fails a
here.
save.
Same
Yeah.
thing here. You have to be careful, I think. And spell alterations are theoretically meant to be used once or twice, like they're one-offs.
Yeah.
They're desperate situations that you thought of something,
Right.
and I think the GM has and I don't give it a lot of rules, unfortunately. I will say I just give it one paragraph. If a PC
Yeah.
is using the same clever alteration over and over, it's probably time for him to spend free checks to create a new spell.
Right.
That's not a lot of guidance, but I do think that's sort of the
Sure.
get. Like, if you use it once, that's great. That's a fun memory that we all have, and that's a really cool story.
But if it's your go-to every fight,
I don't like it at that point. Like,
yeah.
that's
You
it's not
and
your.
again, if it's appropriate for the rune, you go, that's fine.
We'll
We'll
make that a
just
spell. Blah blah
we'll make it
blah.
a spell. You'll have to spend some resource,
Yeah,
in order to basically you're asking you to write that spell into the rune.
sure, absolutely.
And that's fine, but that's not free. That's so you have to. There's a
Well, we have
cost for
rules
that.
for it. We literally have
Yeah,
a cost
right.
schedule for creating new spells, right? So
Look, there it is, right there.
at some point, you sit down and you tell me, I would like a new spell. I like it to do this.
Right,
I would like it to freeze the joints of armor. And I go, okay, that sounds like a third circle or something, right?
right. Yep,
It's going to cost you $400, 3 months, two
yeah.
levels of investiture, and 8 free checks. Done.
Boom, done. Go.
Now I don't bitch when you cast it. Done. Right? I mean, we have a schedule.
That's funny.
And I don't hate players coming with spells. I like that idea, actually.
Sure.
But it should be super expensive, I think.
Yeah,
It's not even that expensive, but it is expensive. If that, right? I mean,
yeah,
you know, two levels of investiture means you lose 2 levels of experience in that rune.
yeah. That's a big hit.
8 free checks means you've lost 8 sessions of play.
Yeah, I
A
mean
little bit.
that might also be functionally a level in the rune,
Yeah, a little bit.
or
Yeah.
or more, possibly.
I mean, once you get that high, no, it's not. But you know what I mean. Yes, I
Yeah.
I absolutely understand what you mean. It could be a level or more in a skill, essentially.
Yes, right.
But it is effectively 8 dull sessions. If we played 8
Yeah.
sessions and nothing
Right.
happened, that would be 8 free checks that you would
Right.
burn. And we might as well stick here because we'll get back to spell alterations in a second. Now, the weird part is, and I'll tell you what, and this has almost nothing to do with any reality in the game, but we did a story on it once. If you create a spell, you have that spell.
Yeah,
If you return to the rune site for any reason, you then essentially dump your you upload your spell, and then other mages who have that rune, when they come to get their next level, or they get those spells,
Right.
which gives me as a GM a very nice way to give people spells if I want to, right? You know what I mean?
True.
Like, oh, Bob came here last week and he uploaded a spell essentially.
Right.
It gives me a way to give people spells.
And if you show up, you can potentially get that.
You can put and you can put spells in that you created, and it sort of weirdly makes them canon, sort of.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. That's a call which you have to certain is that okay for general use, or is that was just okay this one campaign? Kind of, you do have to
Right,
sort of
right.
make that
Sure.
call, right? It's certainly possible that you let someone get away with a spell that you said, ooh, later on you go, ooh, that's way too overpowered for that DL or whatever, and so you
Sure.
might not give that, but you know what I mean. Like the idea is sort of fun. Like that was the whole idea behind. We had this one game, and this was the game store, so unfortunately you were not a participant, where they had a mystery where they tried to figure out who stole this priestess's body from the funeral, but she was effectively she was a to some degree a saint, and I think she is a saint now, but she was a saint. She could she theoretically resurrected people after like a disaster. So this rogue group of priestesses was trying to drag her body back to the Sacred Falls so that they could gain the power to resurrect people. And of course, you know, other folks were trying to stop them because resurrection is no bueno.
Evil.
It's a sin. It's
Evil.
a sin. It's a sin, right? Like that kind of that kind of concept. So
were the other people priests?
no, it was actually a different group of sisters.
Oh, interesting.
Right, that was like we can't do that. Like we can't allow that power to exist. Which makes sense, right? That's a big power. That's like
Sure.
AI. Maybe we shouldn't create this shit. Right? Like that's the whole, if we create it, that changes the world in a way we don't know what happens.
Right.
So it was like the reaching for the stars but irresponsible priestesses versus the practical and responsible ones. Kind of. Saying maybe no one should have the power to resurrect people. That sounds like it could be dangerous.
Sure.
But I loved that idea so much that I said, well, we got to write that into the game. Like that has to be a thing. So I don't know that it comes up a lot, frankly, right? It's not a super big.
No, because unless you have another later campaign where somebody else gets that rune.
Well, but we do that. I mean, that is actually we absolutely carry over from campaign to campaign.
But there's a lot of runes too.
Yeah,
you might not
yeah,
even
yeah.
see that rune again necessarily.
No, I definitely had runes that have only been played once.
Yeah, so.
A lot of them, by the way. But you know, and which is fine. I like that. It does give me the sense that they're unique in some ways, even though, you know, right, magic is rare, but mages aren't rare somehow, right? Sort of odd. So ultimately, I think my main bitch, to be honest, about the whole system is that ultimately when you boil it all down, it does indeed feel like superpowers more than spells. I will totally cop to that. Like if you came to me and said, Chris, your spellcasting system feels more like superpowers, I'd be like, it sort of does. I get you. I totally get you. I wouldn't necessarily change much.
I mean, I don't know.
But I do get I do get that sort of that sadness. I'm putting that in air quotes. I do understand that.
I don't know. There's a fantasy magic system where that isn't the case.
I mean, there are. Like, I do think there are. I think, for instance, I read Lion and Dragon. I think that's a great fantasy magic system, which doesn't feel like that. But it doesn't, it also isn't balanced the same way, if that makes any sense. So the thing is, what's the priority? Is the priority to make an interesting magic system that's weird and funky and mages have to do a bunch of, or is it to make a system where mages can stand next to the rest of the characters and do their thing? I think that's sort of the first decision you have to make.
I mean, I think that depends a lot on the table. Like, what do you think
Sure.
your players would be
Well,
willing to?
no, I
Like,
mean,
if you make a magic system that nobody wants to engage with,
sure. Like,
you
so
know,
so here's the thing. So here's my take. I like both of those. I like D&D 5th is fine. First edition D&D, fine. They all do their thing, right? You know what I mean? Like, they all balance a certain way, and they all. I will say this: I don't think mages in Runebearer are quadratic.
no, they're much more linear.
It's a little linear. They might be, and I think it's situational, if that makes any sense. I think some
Yeah,
mages
there
in
might be there
Runebearer,
might be a bit of a curve there, but
I do think some mages in Runebearer, when they hit fourth and third circle, can become very powerful. And so you might have a linear relationship. Having said that, being able to disable 3 people could be a fight winner, but it's not quadratic, if that makes any sense. A GM can plan for that, right? You know what I mean? Like, so I think yeah, it's not quadratic. It's whatever you want
I
to
mean,
call
they
it.
don't scale up to the level of
Right,
like a high level D&D wizard.
right. And not all of them do. And not all of them do in the same ways. Like, I think that things like fly and teleport and, like, right, those are sort of premium things which only certain folks get, and
Right.
you have to give something up. Like, that's sort of where we're at. So I do think in that sense it works. My choice was to make those powers playable and comparable to what everyone else has, over making it interesting. I hope I made it interesting. I
I
feel
mean,
I
I still
did,
think they're I
because
still
it's
yeah, I still think magic like Runebearer characters I still think are the most interesting characters in the game.
yeah,
So,
sure. There,
like, are they as interesting as a super cool boutique spell crafting system where you are you are trying to be super clever and figure out all this stuff, and then you come up once in a blue moon with some awesome spell effect, but you can't just sit there and throw lightning around. I'm like, maybe not that interesting, but that also is hard to balance, hard to arbitrate, feels like a lot of downtime for a lot of wizards, and maybe not everyone
sure.
wants to play that.
Well, and again, I would argue that, you know that um different, like, so for instance, fantasy wargaming where you construct
Hmm.
the spell on the fly, that's
Right.
great, but imbalanced, really. It totally is imbalanced. um Lion and Dragon is very interesting because it's very medieval magic, and it's a good system for that, right? It's You're making talismans, you're consulting demons, you're getting grimoires, you're right. That's a different feel,
Sure.
and it's really neat, by the way. But mages aren't the same as other characters, if that makes any sense at that point.
Yeah.
Like, they're not doing the same things other characters are doing. They're playing a different game almost.
Yeah.
That game might be fun, it might be interesting, it might be very valuable to play, but they're not playing the same game. In Runebearer, you are playing the same game as the fighters and the thieves and right, and so on, the alchemists and the herbalists, etc. You're playing the same game with some different mechanics and so on, and that's a choice to make. I don't think it's a better choice or a worse choice, but it is a choice.
Yeah.
Like, they're on par with the other characters in a way that I don't feel comfortable, say, introducing, say, a lion and dragon a kind of system to players, because then the mages have to, like, for instance, I will say this. It's a lot like alchemy was in the original Runebearer, where you had to collect all the reagents.
Yeah, that was rough.
And you had to do the thing, and that was a whole mini game for those characters only, alchemists only. Nowadays, alchemists have a spell list, and they're like mages, but they just replenish their spell levels by spending money, which
They've
I felt was,
effectively precasted. Yeah,
yeah.
they sort of precasted their spells because they made potions.
And don't get me wrong,
Right.
it's a different. That's a very interesting. It's an interesting, like, it's the same mechanic with this twist, and that becomes a very interesting ramifications. Actually, you could
Right.
precast a lot of shit and hand them out. For instance,
Yep.
you could have a bunch of explosive fire bombs that everybody has combat thrown. Now, how many PC groups actually like plan ahead this far? We all take combat thrown, and we all take grenades.
We don't.
You don't. You don't. And but I get it. But you could, right? You could. Like, that could be, I could easily see an alchemist breaking the game in some weird way, for sure.
Sure. But they'd also, to make that work, the party needs to grind cash.
And you might spend like $3,000 doing that shit.
I mean, if round one is everyone in the party pulls out their firebomb, throws it to the enemy, that might be a great way to win that fight. But how much is the party spending every fight they do that?
That might be like $800, which is a lot of money.
Five or six people throw a bomb round one, and the alchemist is like, well, that's going to cost me a lot.
Yeah.
And then the party has to be on board with paying that.
But that's fine. But the idea is that the old alchemists played a mini game. The new alchemists play a variation of the same game everyone plays.
Yes.
And I think I like the second one more, though I do appreciate the first one. Like, I've had people tell me, I've literally had randos tell me, I love your alchemy rules, but I would never play an alchemist. Well, I mean, because they were super fun. It was like, oh, you got all these reagents and shit was going on.
I mean, other than Jeff, who played the old alchemist.
Yeah.
Is he the only one to ever really play one? I mean,
And that's why I changed the rules, because over the course of 30
technically my Renfrew did, but I was on a ship. I could bring everything with me.
Yeah.
Like, I was in the perfect circumstance to do that because we had a boat.
Well, and frankly, the answer is, but the alchemist, the new alchemist is, I would say, better, but it is definitely easier to access and play, frankly.
Absolutely.
Because we've abstracted all that extra work. And yeah, it's a different set of work, but it's abstracted enough. And you've seen it. If you saw the solo Runebearer that we ran, Martin, I mean, he had to marshal his resources, but he did not have to track every little thing that he ever did.
And he was effective. Like, that was
It was effective, and it was also taxing in a weird way, right? It was clunky in its own way.
Yeah.
And he was effective in his own way, and he wasn't necessarily less effective than a mage would have been. I think he was actually less effective than a mage would have been, because he has a definite limit on what he can do. Whereas a mage doesn't. A mage with a high enough skill. Now, don't get me wrong, no one had that highest skill. So that was, you're talking the beginning characters that were
but I mean, but the mage is getting his resources back basically for free every night, and the alchemist isn't.
The alchemist is going home and getting to his Bunsen burner and spending $100 or $200 or whatever, and doing it. So I think you definitely could have a more interesting spell system, but this is a compromise between making the spell system sort of work in terms of the rest of the game, if that makes any sense, and still have some options. And there you go. That's sort of where I ended up. I like the magic system as it is. I do sometimes lament that it's not more esoteric and less superpower. but I also realize practically that that would be a different game. That's all. That's sort of where I'm at.
It'd be a big change to the current game. That
It would
current
just be a different, like the
concept.
mages would be playing a different game.
Yeah.
That's sort of my mental take on it. Mages, I could make mages play a different game if I wanted, but I don't want them to. I want them to be playing about the same game everybody else is playing.
Yeah.
The closest, actually, now, strangely enough, and we haven't talked about any of this, by the way. So, but we're an hour 45 in, so we're probably not going to talk about it. But we might. I mean, we probably could. I don't. What do you? It's 11:06. What are you doing for the next half hour?
If you want to keep talking, we can.
Okay. So, I would argue the most close to having a different game in Runebearer is herbalism.
Yes, I agree.
So let's talk about alchemy and herbalism.
Because
If
it's
that's
a
okay.
little bit more like by fiat, you know?
Right. Well, so okay. So let's talk about alchemy first. Alchemy is essentially spell casting. You have a alchemy level. But in alchemy, you create all your spells ahead of time. You lose your levels ahead of time. And to regain spell levels, you have to pay money. Done. That's essentially alchemy. So if I want to create a bunch of tier 1 first circle spells, I have to spend 10 pennies per level, blah, 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 right? If I want to create a bunch of second circles, 25 per level, etc. But otherwise, it's very, very similar to, and don't get me wrong, I totally up the number of potions I have and so on. It's very similar to spell casting. It's not that different. The mechanic is the same. You lose levels, you then replenish them by spending cash based on what you tried to create. I'm happy with that as a rule set. I'm very happy with that because it mimics what we already do, if that makes any sense. Whereas the old alchemy did not. It was a different game.
I do prefer the current system.
I like it because it's more, because it's accessible. If you made an alchemist, you'd be like, "Yep, I could do that. I'm done." And you could make that, and you could be that guy, and it's not that hard to do, right? You know what I mean? Like it is definitely a
It does while I do feel obviously you want to be thinking about it because it still takes thought. It's not like every second of the adventure you have to go, what can I get? How do I do this? What do I need? Like the old alchemy system was very much like, I don't have time to think about the campaign. I'm thinking about playing an alchemist, like a little bit of like you guys figure out the adventure. I'm doing alchemy here, like because it really was
right.
in depth, right? And everywhere you went, you always had to figure out what could I get and what could I use it for. Whereas now it's a little bit more like I just need preparation. I need to be ready. So let me make sure my level's topped off. Let's find somewhere that I can do the alchemy, and let's make some potions and hand them out to the party or whatever. And then, excuse me, try and get my levels back when we have enough money.
So essentially, I feel that there is a tax on alchemy, which is money and thought, which is counteracted by the fact that you are precasting and thus can theoretically overcome a lot of limitations that spellcasting has.
You sort of have a bin of guaranteed effects that you already know about.
You've already cast the fireball, so you have it. You already cast the heal, so you have, what I mean? Like you can hand them out so someone else can invoke them. Whereas, spell casting is very serial.
Right.
It's linear. It's I cast spell 1, I cast spell 2.
And they're harder to use in combat than potions typically. You know,
Right,
it's a half
right.
action.
So
I throw it or I drink it or
so
whatever I do.
I'll be honest. I like these alchemy rules came way later in Runebearer's. Right, like this
And
last
everything,
campaign.
really. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
love them in a
Yeah.
weird way. I think they're very playable. I do like them. Um,
I mean, someone should play an alchemist in the next campaign.
I do love
Feels
alchemy
good.
in the again, it's clunky, and you're the guy doing the extra shit.
Hmm.
Not the herbalist, though. You might be the herbalist, but the herbalist also does extra shit, but
Hmm.
and more than you, weirdly. So okay, maybe I like herbalism too at where it stands, by the way.
Hmm.
But I like alchemy because you get these. I have these reasonably powerful effects that I have to think about and create ahead of time. It costs me money. It's expensive, and but I can forego what would normally be a lot of limitations of a mage. So I think it's a trade-off, and I think it's a fair trade-off.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty happy with where it is. You um, creating potions is essentially spell casting. Um, replenishing alchemy levels costs money. Done. And they might cost you some days because you might have to go buy reagents, right? Like that's
Right.
something you have to do. Am I not in a town? I can't buy reagents. That's a big limitation.
Right.
It's very much, in hero terms, it's very OAF, right?
But
Or
you also
charges.
potentially you could be out and about, and the GM could go, "Oh, here's a resource.
Oh, absolutely. You can
Maybe
get
you
materials.
can
Absolutely.
harvest
100%. Right?
X levels or X dollars value of reagents from this thing, sulfur, or
Oh, be a
you could
venom
still
sacs
do
from a
that."
spider or whatever, right?
Right.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
still, that's still there. It's a little more loosey goosey rather than a specific laundry list like it used to be,
Yes,
but
yes.
it's still there. You can still play that guy. It's just you can also be a little bit more like, well, I have money. I'm in town. There's an alchemist. I can definitely get my stuff there. You know, but there are some potential other options as well, and you can make that an adventure. Oh, I
Yes.
need I
Oh,
this thing
absolutely.
would be extra good, or I want to learn a new potion, but I need some experiment. So let's go do the weird thing and see if I can harvest something and then experiment. And then once you know how to do it, you're like, okay, well now I can just buy this stuff or whatever. But you had to figure it out the first time, and that could be fun.
Yeah, I like it because it's spell casting but different.
Yeah, no,
And
it's good.
so it's the
I think it's
same
a
set
good
of
system.
mechanics, but
Right.
it is different enough that if you're an alchemist, you will know that it's different.
Right.
It's not like having a rune.
No.
It's like having this other
No,
thing.
and you don't have any of the permanent penalties that some of the runes have. Really, all the runes have something, and just probably in general, you don't quite pull the ire of the church.
Right, right. No, alchemy is
You
is,
know,
is very much a science.
science.
It's considered
They're like
science. It's
Bostonia like science.
yeah,
They don't like
yeah.
They don't like mages. That's not
Like
science.
this other thing, whatever that is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So
They like science.
I do
It's
love
it's
alchemy.
weirdly a rather advanced fantasy world
Yeah,
in
yeah,
many ways.
absolutely. And I
Science
said,
good.
so I love alchemy as it
Yeah.
stands. I think
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
good
very
rule set.
good system. It's why Martin existed in the solo
Yeah,
game, was to sort of roll that out and get a feel for it. We do need an alchemist in a new Bostonia game.
sure.
Absolutely, just to make sure, right, and sort of feel it.
I mean, it's gonna be Dan, right?
Probably, yeah. Dan
I
loves all
mean,
that. Dan loves that. Dan loves
if
that.
I
Or
was if I
Jeff.
was a
Or
bet,
Jeff.
if
Or
I was a
Jeff.
or Jeff, if
But
the
he'll never
betting
come
man,
back. I think Jeff's done. I don't know why, but I think
maybe.
Jeff's done.
Eh,
I think I don't know what
it's
happened. I
No,
think
he's
he's on
got
his wife.
fam
He's on his
family
wife.
stuff.
I
No,
know.
he's family.
I know. I love Joe,
But
by the way. I love April
yeah,
too, but I
no.
love Joe.
It's,
Um,
yeah, but Jeff or Dan are like
uh,
you're definitely alchemy vibing players.
I do
Right?
appreciate that April came this game, by the
Yeah,
way. I do
yeah,
really appreciate that. I'm so glad to see her.
yeah.
So I get it. It's an in joke if anyone's watching this video, but um, we have a right. We have friends. They come and play, but but only one at a time, kind of thing. Like we haven't
hmm
got So
No, you know,
husband and
life is
wife.
hard.
Yep,
People
I
have a
get
lot
you.
of
People have shit
responsibilities.
to do.
You know?
I get it. Let's talk
Yeah.
about herbalism.
Okay.
I still love herbalism, but I
Sure.
do admit it is as close to the old alchemy
hmm
as we have.
That's
But
okay.
I don't think it's terrible.
No, I mean, I think that's fine.
It is the most, I would argue that herbalism is the most, I have to touch this
Yeah.
of any of the mechanics we have. So herbalism, so you have herbalism skill, done. It's 5 points, so it's cheap. It's actually a cheap skill for what you get, potentially.
Yeah.
When you're out and about, you have to make a herbalism DL to forage, and the foraging difficulty is based on the terrain. It's largely how lush does the GM think the terrain is, right? It's
Yeah.
lush, it's desert,
Mhm.
right? Those are the two extremes. The herbalist makes the roll, and if he does make the roll, he gets a number of foraging attempts, kind of, right? So you don't have to make the roll first. I shouldn't say that. You don't make the roll first. You get the DL first. So the GM says you're in the deep woods. It's a DL8, right?
Right.
And then you
A lot of
go,
stuff here.
okay, I want to spend all day doing this. So
Mhm.
he'll give you 2 to 5 attempts at that point.
Okay.
Or if you're just camping, because it's just like, wow, we're just passing through. You might get 1 attempt because
Right.
it's a camp action, right?
Mhm.
So there is a difference between camping and doing it, all
All
day,
day.
effectively.
Right.
If you succeed, so the amount of times you succeed is the amount of times you can roll on what you get. Now I should make region specific herb
Sure.
tables, and I will at some point. But I just made a general herb table.
14 giant lists.
I made 6. It's a 6x6.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a D66, right? It's 36 right herbs.
A lot.
Yeah. No. It's fine. It's good. I want
100.
10 times that number. I totally do.
Yeah.
I totally absolutely
okay.
do.
300.
No, absolutely. Like
Nice.
I think like stuff like this benefits from, but you start repeating yourself by accident, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's hard to make 300 interesting things.
yeah. So we have 36 herbs. AI. It's ChatGPT time. Done. And by the way, ChatGPT is actually good at shit like that, like making dumb shit.
Sure. I could see that.
It wouldn't do a good job at the actual game mechanics. Like it doesn't know anything, but it would be good at like randomly making names and shit. So anyway, but nonetheless. But you get your 2 to 5 attempts, you roll them, you succeed or not succeeded, and then you get a roll on this table, and the table gives you the herb that you find. And there's a bunch of herbs, and they do a bunch of things. Mostly are very minor benefits. So that's the idea with herbalism. Herbalism is a tiny benefit, a +1. So there you go. Somnus allows deep dreamless sleep. Really, that doesn't even matter? Like, who cares, right?
Until the one weird place you're plagued by nightmares.
Absolutely, right? And so that's the whole idea, right? It does. Yeah. That's the idea. The idea is that
they're either typically very, very situational or very minor.
Yeah. It's not supposed to be a big deal.
Fine.
It's supposed to, +1 to your next meditate check. You know what? That's minor,
Great.
but give it to the freaking mages.
Yeah,
If
great for
they
wizard.
can do that, right?
Yeah,
+1 save versus poison. Well, you know what? I hate to say it, but that's not awful.
right.
It's not amazing, but it's not awful. Just give it
Sure.
to the trapper, right? Like that
Right.
whole give Celandine +1 charisma for an hour. Well,
You're
give it
negotiating.
to the face guy. Ba-boom,
Yeah.
right? Done. I love those effects. I love them. I love that little bit of here you go, here's a buff. It's tiny, but take it. And you know, it might be useful and it might not be useful. Paraxid numbs your mouth. Ha! +4 to any relevant toughness or power check. That's not going to be useful until you enter the. Oh, by the way, there's a bullet missing. I hate, by the way, Word. I hate Word.
Oh yeah,
And how Word like eats bullet.
I turn all auto formatting off every time. Yeah. No, but maybe like you're whatever you're treating with the goblins, and they're like
you're entering the thistle eating
you have
contest.
You have to eat this terrible thing. You're like, well, if I don't feel it, maybe it's fine.
By the way, I'm drinking the shit out of this fucking tequila. Oh my god!
Oh, nice.
What?
No, nobody could tell. No, that's good stuff. I like it. That's delicious.
Look, I love bourbon.
I know you're like it's not special. I'm like I know it's not special, but it's tasty.
I love bourbons and I love scotches.
Yeah, I like that tequila. I normally don't like.
Also, really like tequilas. Like you don't like tequila straight, but
not that much. But I like that one. I would drink that straight again.
So I used to hate tequila because I used to bitch and go, "Ugh, road tar." And I had someone come to me and say, "The only reason you hate tequila is because you have never tasted a good tequila."
Yeah, it just has that good. You don't even need a great tequila.
Like,
you just need a good
You
tequila.
need a not bottom shelf tequila.
No, if you find you find a $30 to $40 bottle and you're
and it's
golden.
like, wow, this is amazing. I'm in.
Just don't buy the $15 shit.
I'm also in. Yeah, like that's the thing, right? I was drinking bad tequila.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is awful. I hate this. And you go, no, stop it. Get a $40 bottle of tequila, and it's very good. And so there you go. So interestingly, you could eat the herb raw, or you could process it. So every herb has potentially one or more, 0 or more, because not all of them have them, but 0 or more recipes essentially, right? You can do. I get Philander. I can make Philander oil. Philander oil is a DL14. Maybe I can't do that so easy, but if I do, it's a more powerful benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Great system, I think.
And now it's starting to edge up into alchemy. It's starting to edge up into right. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a lot more situational. I think herbalism is.
Yeah.
Whereas alchemy is supposed to really substitute for a mage. Herbalism is way more situational. I have these 5 things.
I actually would like to play. I would like to play an herbalist. I think in the next Runebearer campaign, like as one of my things I do. It's 5 points. Like fun, you can make it happen, because I think that would be an interesting system to deal with. You know, I mean, Dan did, I think, in the last campaign a bit of that, but you know, we haven't seen it a ton.
Yeah.
And I think it'd be, and it's about I think it's an interesting enough. I'd like to interact with it, but you know, I mean, I'm probably not playing the wizard just as a guess. So, but it'd be a fun thing to do other than just being like, okay, I'm the ranger or I'm the fighter.
Wizards. Or you're not a wizard guy. Typically, 9 times out of 10.
No, because the thing is, what I really want to play is that half wizard, half warrior.
Well, which is fine, and you can do that. I mean,
sure, it's just, but invariably, because again, you don't want to party wizards, and I understand that. Some people have to play wizards, so they do, and I'm like, that's fine. I could just not play one, you know.
No, I get you.
I cannot be the rune bloat to this campaign.
Well, the funny part is if we do the kids campaign.
Yeah.
You only get one probably. Like that's
Yeah.
not
But
a
I would,
super, yeah.
I would really like to do the herbalism. I
Oh,
think that
but
would
you
be
could do
cool.
herbalist. Like that would be
Yeah,
an
because I feel
easy.
like that's just a skill-ish.
Yeah,
Like it's not,
absolutely. But it's a thing,
you
and
know.
you, yeah,
Right. Well, it's like being a physician. It's a whole thing, but you're not really stepping on toes by,
right, right.
can't have 4 wizards.
And it's only
I get it.
5 points, really. It's not like 1,000 points. It's not like
No, it's
super
just,
expensive.
it's what it's whatever. It's a couple skills ish or whatever.
Yeah, like
But it's fine.
it's just yeah.
No, I think that'd be fun. I would like to do that. That'd be of all the sort of extra systems. I think I would like to do an herbalist next time. If so
Yeah, we need
maybe I'll
like
keep that in
9,000
mind.
more herbs, but having said
No,
that,
that's
like
fine. We got time.
we did
We got
36. We
that's
made them a
campaigns for now,
thing.
buddy.
Yeah, right. But yeah, so those are sort of the. Now the other thing is, which we haven't talked about at all, which is sort of fine, but is ritual.
Oh yeah. The other spells.
So the weird part is there's after all this, after 2 hours of talking about this bullshit, by the way,
the other set of rules.
there are ritual spells. And ritual spells, there's a ritual skill.
Mm-hmm.
And ritual spells are all, I wish I would say, like they all take time to cast. They're all there's very few of them that are anything but long or very short. There's a couple combat ones. There's a couple.
Yeah, there's a couple.
Right?
Not a lot.
And they are just the hedge magic that some people have learned. Theoretically, that's the scholarly magic that some people have learned.
And anybody could learn those.
Anyone could theoretically learn rituals.
Yeah.
Now, it does cost a bunch of points. I don't know how many points. I have to go look. How many points does it cost? Do you know off the top of your head? 5 or is it 8? Hold on. Let me go look. Rituals.
I don't know.
5. It's only 5.
Okay.
And you get 1 spell for 5 points.
Right. You can learn more, but you have
every other spell is 2 points. Like you can go.
So it's expensive.
So it can be because every spell is 2 points. Like every freaking spell is 2 more points.
Yeah, it's not. It's mostly, I think, for you just want to have a thing or 2 or 3, but
right.
If you're doing more than that, you should have played a mage. Probably.
Yeah, like I mean,
it's just expensive.
Or not. I mean, or you do, but yeah, I get you, right? You could easily spend, right? And those are the weird spells that don't belong anywhere, sort of like detect magic.
Sure.
Like that's not actually like no rune. It's not thematic to any rune.
No.
So okay,
no, that's closer to D&D wizard.
Yeah, it's way closer. So D&D wizard would be a guy that took only ritual spells, effectively, in my opinion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I don't hate the system for better or worse. It's probably too expensive for what you get, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it's interesting, and you might have a guy that does it, and he has a few spells, but it's probably not the main thing they do because it'd be too expensive to invest. Like the amount of points it would take to really do a lot with that would be like you could easily spend a third of your character doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
And you're like, well, that's all I do.
Well,
and you could do that.
You
could do that, but
spells.
that's what you do now, right?
I think it would be harder to do 10 spells, right? Like,
right.
Can imagine, but you might do 6. Let's say 6. 6 costs you. Oh, that's still a lot, but let's say that's 15 points, right?
Yeah.
You have a fighter talent which gives you weapons.
Yeah.
You have
it's like buying
6 spells.
It's like buying 5 skills.
Yeah, right.
Generally. So it's just if that's your jam, you could do that. That's worth 5 skills.
That's what I would play if I played. There you go, done. I'd play a warrior.
Oh, there you go.
With
found the
6
character.
ritual spells.
There you go.
Just because.
Perfect.
Just right. I'm a hedge mage, but I can use a damn sword.
I love it.
Right. That would be
Sure. That'd be
goofy,
good.
a little interesting. Right.
It'd be an interesting character.
Yeah. Like, could you make that work? I have no idea.
Yeah, you could make that work.
Definitely,
you could totally make it work. You just have to go. Yeah, I don't. I can't be incredibly versatile outside
there's a
of
little
that.
bit of GM
but
wink
you
wink.
could.
You'd have to.
Sure.
There's a little bit of GM. Are you going to let me ever find any more of these?
Right, because if you get no more, even though they're not free, right, you still have to pay, or
you don't have to pay character points. I mean, it's
okay. Not when you find them.
It's you learn them as you learn them, right? You do ritual.
Right. It's if they could show up at some point, that would be great. But if you're never going to see another one, that kind of sucks, right?
You're essentially asking the GM, "Are you ever going to let me do this thing?
Can you throw me a freaking bone?"
Which
here?
I get it, right? I totally get it, right? There are certain mechanics in games that are essentially asking the GM, "Do you care about this?"
Because the Runebearer is going to level up, get to another circle, and get more spells.
You get your shit.
You can't stop him from that. I mean, unless they die when they try to level up.
Yes.
So you can, but
yes, but ritual spells are largely
right.
Are you going to let me do this or not?
Well, it's the very classic. You have to find the scroll or whatever it is, decipher it, and then you learn it.
I found a book of ritual. Done.
Right, and if
those aren't these,
and if that campaign, if your campaign doesn't have those, that sucks.
I love anime rope, by the way. Like that's my favorite spell of all time.
Great.
Like it's make a rope do shit. Done. Like that's my favorite spell.
Vine is the best entire spell in the game. So,
well, that in Sword Sphere.
It's okay.
Because I don't know where it is in Runebearer, but that's fine.
It's probably in Marsh Song, or
doesn't exist yet. But yes, I get you.
Oh, or it could be in the One Tree. I don't know. Should be there somewhere. I don't know. But yeah, vines. Yeah, I mean, because
breath bag is a great spell. You breathe into a belt. You breath bag. You breathe into a belt pouch or small belt pouch or small bag. As long as that pouch remains closed, it holds your breath.
Okay.
Done. You no longer have to breathe.
Oh, I see. As long as it's not punctured or breaks.
Take that
whatever.
breath. Get a +2 save against athlete checks or toughness saves to avoid.
Interesting. That's cool. That's a great spell.
Cobbler's Cantrip. Repair shoes and boots. The affected shoes get a +1 durability.
Who doesn't want that?
The wearer can take one of the following benefits at will, which lasts one combat round. It's not a big deal.
No.
It's +1 move, +1 AV in location 12. Plus ignore one gear check.
But you can pick a different one each round?
No, it's one. It's
it says that will.
Yeah, at least yes. Theoretically, yes. You can enchant multiple pairs of shoes. The DL increases by 2 each time. So theoretically, you can only do like one pair of shoes, maybe 2, maybe 3, right, and so on.
Interesting.
But still, that's not terrible. That's a fun little goofy.
Yeah. I mean, they're all weird and unique, which is
I'm doing fun. That. Like you GM, I'm gonna make that guy.
Okay.
You're like, no.
We'll think about that.
We're literally going to negotiate. Is that like what?
Yeah, okay. That's like 5 campaigns from now. We're not doing that on stream right now.
We're negotiating on stream.
Hold on. Yes, I'm not saying no.
I'll buy you dinner.
But I'm just what?
I'll buy you dinner. Okay.
No one wants to see me GM. But anyways, that's a late. Sure.
I'm gonna say GM.
I'm gonna say yes, but that's later.
Not the next. I don't know.
Okay. I thought that look, I didn't love the rule set, but I thought the Adventures of Middle Earth campaign was good.
I loved that campaign. I had a great deal of fun. I got your wife married to whomever. To the Lord. What's his name? Lord Barr.
Yeah.
I thought I was awesome.
You were awesome. You engineered the important thing to happen.
no, I seriously, I thought I was a badass because
You were better. Well, you had the
I
shield
got
too.
them married,
Cool
and I had the
shield.
goofy
Got
shield,
the
which is
massive
awesome.
shield.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's great.
like yeah. But I got your wife hooked
You
up with
did.
a fucking lord. I think I was like,
Why
what?
would you put it that way?
Yeah,
But
like that was my goal. Like you don't
that is.
understand.
No, I
I
understood.
was like,
Look,
I know where
at
this is
some
going.
point, we all figured out what the campaign's about, and it's having a wedding.
I was like, I'm making this happen.
Nothing else
Bitches.
matters.
Yeah.
No,
I
that
was
was
good.
fun.
I was
I
in.
did enjoy that.
I was in. But
But now I don't even hate it, but I wouldn't run that system again.
I'm literally gonna if you ever do Runebearer, I'm gonna submit subject you to the ritual herbalist.
Oh,
done.
Yeah, absolutely. That's 100%. Like if
The
you,
hedge
that's what you.
witch who also somehow is great with a short sword. Done. I'm in.
Well, if
Sword and
if I run Runebearer, then you're playing that. That's the deal.
Done.
That's
I have
okay.
a plan.
Done.
I have a plan.
Well, I'm glad we figured that out.
Or the
What?
really zealous priest. One or the other, just to turn the tables.
I love a zealous priest. You know me,
just
Chris.
to turn the table.
I love a zealous priest.
Love it.
But
I love it.
so good.
No, so I like ritual. I love all the
I know.
systems.
I have it.
love all
I
the
have
goofy
it.
systems.
I have it. We finally make Karen GM, and you.
No, actually, I tell you what I want to do though. Karen needs to run a mage one day, just once.
Yeah, she does. Like a real maid, not a priestess.
Not a priestess. Blah blah blah. Priestess.
Not a Eltharzi. A real mage.
Yeah, like an honest to God freaking mage with skin in the game.
Yes, sure.
Done.
That's not what she wants to play.
I totally get you. So I would never make her do that because
I know she wants to run in and wreck face, and that's not the wizard. That's not the wizard. That's gonna go. Yeah.
I love all the wizard shit. I really do. Like I would.
It's the best.
I would either play. I'd play two things in Runebearer.
Mm-hmm.
A smash face fighter.
Sure.
Probably, strangely enough, sword and board, and I'd be like a defensive god.
Okay.
I'd make a defensive god. Like, right? Yeah. Once you get through my 17 block and 16 parry, you can then get through my 4 armor.
Right.
Suck it. Right? Or whatever.
That was good.
Right? Like that
Great
guy.
character.
And just sit there in the middle of everything and protect all the protect John, who's casting the spell, whatever the thing. Or I would play absolutely opposite. I'd play Uber Mage.
Uber Mage, yeah.
Or I would play vaguely I can fight ritual herbalist maybe. That would be a totally
that's a good character.
Like you're just a weird, like you don't you're not that great ultimately. Like you can't, but you're like okay, we need to climb that. I have a rope.
You have all the tricks.
We need to do the thing. Hold on, I'll give you a +1 to that. Here, eat this. Right? That'd be super fun, and you can at least hold your own. You're not the best fighter. Like that's not the goal.
You don't have to be.
But you can sort of hold your own. You don't die. You don't fold if 3 goblins get on you, for instance.
Right.
But and you have like blade turning, maybe, right?
Sure.
And you go, oh, get my ritual up. I can get 3 armor for nothing, kind of thing, right? Just sort of, right? That's a fun one too, right? They're all, but like Earth's Blood and Lightning might be a fun, crazy combination where you just go, or Earth's Blood in a total utility. Like stuff like that. Like those would be the 3 characters I play. Either you go all fighter and just go, yeah, come on, GM, screw you. Or the super zealous priest, just to honor your memory, just to honor you.
I love playing priests, Sunbringers or priests.
I love a
good Sunbringer or a priest because I feel like the two and I call them factions because they're sort of factions. The magic faction and the religious faction are like the really the most interesting sort of elements of Runebearer.
Sure, I agree.
The nobles are fun too. So playing a noble could be fun because because that brings in like I think
all that whatever yes, absolutely. Like Vincent and Falarin.
It's a good Bostonia specifically. Bostonia is a good world to want to interact with the various um, factions and groups, right?
Agree. I agree with that. Yeah.
So like playing a religious character, a mage because they are sort of on the outs, as it were,
Fringe.
which is,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
you
Yeah.
know, or a noble character because that gives you the whole political faction. Those are all, I think, good characters to play because you are part of the world. Like you are really tied to the world in some way. You know, playing a random general mercenary is fine, but it doesn't mean much. You know,
Yeah,
you're
I think
not.
you can dial that down a tiny bit and go, if I'm a mercenary, at least have a backstory.
Oh no, sure.
I can
You
be a
can make an interesting.
sandalfoot,
You
right? I
can
mean,
make
you
an
can do that
interesting
whole
character out
thing.
of that.
Yeah,
But,
you can
but
you can
yeah,
work that.
but it's fun to participate within the organizations that exist.
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, I'm a, yeah, but you know, there's a lot of room to play. I think
Sure,
guilds,
absolutely.
you
There's
know,
guilds.
and again, the mercs, like every template essentially, aside from the generic ones, has something to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
somewhere,
that's true.
right?
Because
You know,
the yeah, the named mercenary groups are all good. They all have
yes,
something
right. I
going
mean,
on. You know,
and we should add, you know, if this was a saleable game, we'd add 50 of those. Like, you know what I mean? Like you'd just
sure,
add a bunch of that shit all over the place.
sure.
Um, I do feel it appropriate that magic was the longest topic. I think that's
Yeah,
appropriate.
I
I
mean
think that works
it's
because
you
it's
know
sort of the most.
it's the biggest system.
I mean, it is and it isn't. Combat is sort of, but it isn't. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Magic is the most. Uh, it's the nearest and dearest to my heart in that sense.
sure.
Um, so I do appreciate that. Yeah, but yeah, no, I get that. Where are we at? Where are we at? 11:37. Not terrible.
Yeah, it's
Um,
good.
I think we're good. I don't think there's much
Yeah,
else to talk about
no, I think
in terms of magic specifically. I think we overdid it, if nothing else. I mean,
oh, you know, we threw in alchemy and herbalism too. So
alchemy, herbalism, tequila.
yeah,
Yeah, like you know, right?
the arcane or whatever you want to call it, the other spells,
Yeah. The no, the ritual spells.
rituals. That's right. Yeah, it's good.
So yeah, we did a good
Well done.
so yeah, I will so that's it guys. I will thank you for watching if you did watch. All 6 of you. I get it. Um thank you for watching us navel gaze about Bostonia and Runebearer. I appreciate it a great deal. And again, I know these aren't super popular. I know these aren't algorithm bait, as it were, but I do appreciate them because I get to talk to my best friend about a game we've shared for like 30 years, effectively, right?
Long time.
Yeah. So that's
Long
all. That's
time.
all it is. That's all it is. If you like Bostonian, like Runebearer, then hopefully you like this video. Leave a comment. There you go. And if you don't, you've already clicked off. So you have no. You're not here. You're not here, and I get that. I get that. It's not a thing that most people are going to deal with, but for the few of you, I certainly appreciate it. Leave a comment and we can discuss more. And there you go, done. So, good night, everybody. Scott, you stay on the line. We'll chat.
Yeah.
And that's it. Have a good night.